Hi, my name is Scott Simon. I'm Wave's North American product specialist, and we're here with GearWire today to talk about a revolutionary new product from Waves. This is the Artist Signature Series, and the first release under the Artist Signature Series is a product called the Tony Maserati bundle. Tony Maserati is a well-known producer engineer who's based out of New York. He's done Beyonce, Jason Mraz, and many others. Very notable engineer. And what we've done is something that's very cool. We've taken a lot of the guesswork out of EQing vocals, keyboards, drums, bass, guitar, pretty much everything in your musical repertoire. And we've made it incredibly simple for the end user to get a very great sounding recording, whether it's for kick drum, snare, guitar, bass, pretty much everything in a band. So the Tony Maserati bundle actually comes with 6 components. A component for drums, a component for electric guitar, acoustic guitar, bass guitar, vocals, and a neat plugin called HMX, which is great for anything in stereo. So keyboards, vocals, or any other thing that needs some sort of spatialization effect. All right, so we're gonna dive right in. And the first item that we're going to take a look at is the Tony Maserati DRM plug, DRM for drums. And what you'll notice by looking at the interface here is that you've got a number of buttons down here at the bottom: bass drum, snare top, snare bottom, hi-hat, toms, overhead, and room. So basically, we've already set up a preset or a contour for each of the major drum components, okay? Now, one of the common threads through all 6 of these plugins is this control called sensitivity. In fact, you'll see this sensitivity knob right here on the left side, and this little LED right here as well on all of the Tony Maserati plugins. And this is where you're going to want to start. This is basically the first tool that you use to dive in order to get that great sound. And what sensitivity does is it's basically like an input trim. It determines how much signal the plugin's going to receive and make sure that all of the neat processes that are happening in the background are receiving enough signal. So I'm going to take my plugin out of bypass here. Okay, and as we play back our audio, you'll see this little sensitivity light glow a different color. So if it's not glowing at all, it means that you need more signal and that you can use your sensitivity control to increase the amount of signal going into the plugin. When it turns green, it means that it's receiving signal and it's starting to do its processes. Yellow being the optimal level. So what we're looking for is basically a yellow glowing light. Red means it's getting enough signal. In fact, it's probably too hot and you should pull back on your sensitivity control. So right now I've got the Maserati DRM plugin pulled up on our kick track, okay? And I've selected the bass drum component because that's what we're working with. And now I'm gonna go ahead and play back some audio. Okay, so you can see we're receiving a fairly decent signal. The LED is glowing green, and it's occasionally, depending upon how hard the attack is of that kick drum, it's reaching yellow. So I'm going to play back a little bit more and just increase our sensitivity control just a little bit. Okay, we can really hear that thumping right now. And it's starting to go into the red, so I'm just going to pull back a hair and now leave it how it is. Okay. Now, all I've done is I've selected the bass drum preset, set my sensitivity control. In theory, we can now walk away and we've got an instant sounding, fantastic kick drum. In fact, when I go back into the plugin, I'll select the bypass control so you can hear it bypass without any processing, and then I'll kick in the Tony Maserati DRM plug so you can hear it active. Okay, here we are bypassed. So it's a decently recorded kick, but it needs a little work. Okay, now I'll go ahead and I'll kick in the plugin itself. So right away, instant gratification. There's a lot more thump, a lot more low end. Starts to really sound like a kick drum. But of course, now we have all these other controls to work with. We've got thump, snap, treble, and output. Now, a lot of these controls may sound fairly generic, but believe me, there's a lot of processing happening here in the background. There's EQs and compressors and transient designers and all kinds of neat stuff that's making this kick sound as good as it possibly can sound. So why don't we go in? I'm going to go ahead and increase the thump. That's going to give me some nice low end, some nice body for the kick, and bring back our snap a little bit because I'm looking for more of a feel for a kick than I can actually hear that snap. So I'm going to increase our thump control, bring back our snap, and then we'll see where we're at. Okay, cool. So now we got a lot more low end, a little less snap, so it's a little bit more low-end feel from the kick. And in my opinion, we could pretty much walk on and go to the next processor. One more time, I'll go ahead and put it in bypass mode. You can hear without effects, and then I'll kick in bypass. Before. After. So you can see, really simple, really easy to use. It took me only a matter of seconds to achieve that great sounding kick. Let's go on and move to our snare track. Okay, so I'm just going to solo our snare. All right, and once again, we're going to start the process the exact same way that we did before. So I'm going to take it out of bypass mode, and I'm going to start watching that LED to see how much I have to tweak that sensitivity control. Okay, and let's go ahead and now select the snare top preset. Okay, so what I've done so far is selected snare top, and now I've tweaked my sensitivity control to get that nice glowing greenish yellow color out of our LED. Okay, here's what we started with. And here's with the Tony Maserati DRM plugin engaged. Okay, so you can hear there's a lot more output. It's got a lot more snap, a lot more body. Starts to really sound like a snare. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull back our output control just a little bit so that our initial volume matches the processed volume. Okay, here's before. Here's after. Now, once again, I have all those controls at my fingertips, so if I'd like to pull back the thump, if I want to hear less of the body of the snare but more snap or more treble, now I have those controls to go ahead and dive in. So I'll make a couple of fine tweaks and take a listen. Basically what you would do is, now you would use the Maserati DRM plug across all of your drum tracks. Very simply, you load it up on your hi-hat, you put it on your toms, overheads, rooms, and you've got all those controls right there. So in fact, why don't we go ahead and I'll pull this up onto the overhead, and we'll just grab it from our plugin menu here. And once again, I'm going to select the overhead button and play back. Okay, now just like the others, I'm going to go ahead and set my sensitivity control. And now I really want to hear that overhead pick up the snap of the snare. So I'm going to pull back the thump control, increase the snap. And there you have it. I'll play this overhead track bypass, and then I'll take it out of bypass mode. So once again, right away you hear that great sounding room sound. There's some air. There's a little bit more life in the kick and the snare and the hi-hats. Easy to use, perfect for all types of drum instruments. And the key here is that you've got the sound from a pro Grammy-nominated recording engineer at your fingertips, ready to go to do your mix very simply.